Hi, Jay. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, perfect. So
Awesome.
glad to have you.
Hey, same here. Same here. I was a bit unsure how to join on the bevy because I couldn't see the link. Let me switch my camera on. Hey,
Perfect. Hey,
hey.
good to see you. Good to
Good,
see you.
good to see you.
Okay,
Oh,
I will start recording the session,
okay.
and you can start introducing yourself and let us know what are the projects you're currently working on, and yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Cool. How long do we have? Oh, we're
You have
almost up.
Yeah, you
Wow.
have 1 hour until our next session. However,
Okay.
it's happening on a different stage. So, in case you are late or there are extra,
Hello. I lost.
now I hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I lost you for a minute.
yeah. The stage is all yours. You have yourself and all your attendees. So,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead and present yourself.
Sure. So let me. Hello. Share screen. Screen number 2. Hello. Are we live? Ah, perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm Jai. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for DevFest. It's going to be a really exciting time. Okay, so this call is going to be recorded. So if you're not quite happy with that, please ensure to switch off your camera and microphone if you don't want to be recorded at the end, because there will be some questions and answers. So please bear that in mind. Okay, so let's move along. Okay, so the title of my workshop today is GCP Certification Workshop. Again, my name is Jai Campbell. I'm a senior architect at Wipro, which is a consultancy firm. We have about 200,000 engineers globally, and we support a wide range of platforms and different kinds of businesses. So yeah, we're quite well versed in cloud technologies and also on-prem systems. Move along. So I'm quite happy to be here. This is a collaboration. I'm not formally a GDG. I run a similar community, similar meetup group called London SRE. This is based in London, although before the pandemic hit, we were global as and events, and we also do virtual events. You're quite happy to join if you're interested specifically on DevOps and SRE. And I can quickly show you a link here. So here is our meetup page, and these are the type of events that we do: DevOps SRE, study session about being on call, and CI/CD. Okay, let's jump back. Okay, so today's discussion, again, it's going to be focusing on certification, but a bit more on not just why you need to certify or why it's a good idea to certify, but how to make the most out of your time once you're studying for a particular certification, and also how you can use this beyond gaining the certification and kind of carve out a career path for yourself as well. So it's going to be broken up into 3 sections with Q&A at the end. The first, quick overview of why I think certification is important. Number 2, walk your own path. So that's about identity and having a look at how you can create a pathway which suits your needs and is tailored to give you the best out of your study time. And then Quick Labs overview. We'll go through Quick Labs. We have some free credits. Hopefully there's time at the end for you to have a little go. And then also I'll be giving you some tips and tricks. And then at the end, we'll do some Q&A for anything certification or GCP that you'd like to ask me about. Okay, cool. So why certification is important. This year, well, not just this year, the last couple of years, excuse me, have been a bit testing for quite a lot of people. I think we've all been spending a lot of time looking after our bodies, a bit more attention to detail. But again, our mind is just as important. So feed your mind, feed your body, feed your soul. Certification and studying in general is a good thing, and it's only going to make you healthier in the long run. Okay, so As we start to look into certification, whether you need to do this as part of your studies or if it's part of training at work, it's good to recognize the different reasons why a company might want you to be certified or some of the things that they might be looking for. So if we quickly look at the cloud adoption framework, if you're working with cloud technologies, there's similar ones for AWS and for Microsoft. Basically what this does is for legacy organizations. So think about quite old school organizations. There's quite a lot of companies existing in the world that have been here for 100 years. Excuse me. So they've been existing a long time before computers even were an idea. So the processes and things that they have are quite legacy. So it's not as easy for them to move to the cloud as it is for some organizations that might just be starting like a couple of years ago. So think companies like Google, Spotify, Netflix, they don't have that legacy burden. So when you're thinking about certification, it's important to understand the company that you're working for, or the company that you would like to work for, or the company that you would like to create, or indeed the project that you would like to create. Why are you learning? Why are you studying? What are you looking to get out of this? If we focus on the learn section, and then you can see it's tactical, strategic, transformational. So these are all stages that an organization would try to move towards the cloud. Again, just focusing on the learn. Self-taught, third-party reliance. So this is kind of what we're doing today. It's all about engineers, developers, product managers, whoever at the company, teaching themselves new technologies or existing technologies to be a bit more proficient, to add more value to themselves and to the company. And that in turn feeds across the strategic framework, where it becomes more about organized training. We're not going to focus too much on this slide, but I thought it important to show you, because if you're looking to do the Cloud Digital Leader certification, and let's just jump to that quickly. This certification here is one of the newest GCP certifications. And this is for everybody in the organization to have a go at. It's quite broad, and you don't need to have practical experience on the platform. It's a really good starter. And again, if you have a look at this alongside any other certification or just general reading yourself, it will give you really good insights into what organizations are looking for in the cloud and what kind of services they might be looking to invest in. And that's pretty cool. Again, prepare for certification with free 2-day training. Always nice. Okay, I will share the slide deck after this so you can follow the slides. This is for the Cloud Adoption Framework, which goes into a lot more depth about cloud adoption patterns. Okay, why Certify? And I'm just going to quickly put on my timer. I just want to make sure I'm good for the time. Excuse me. Great. So why Certify? We're going to jump through these points. Some of them will be pretty self-obvious, pretty self-evident, and hopefully some of them will be give you a few more ideas about when you're creating your certification path. And even if you're studying already, if you're pre-existing studying, it might allow you to have some new ideas or look at the things that you're doing in a different frame of light. Okay, so number one, why Certify? Learn new skills. Technology ever changing, as the world is shifting to a more digital landscape, as we can all see, things are getting more digital everywhere. It's important to stay up to date. When I think about my parents, my mom in particular, she doesn't have the internet at home. She's pretty old school. She obviously understands what it is, but it's not something engaged with. So for myself, I'm thinking when I get older, to my mom's age, what technologies might there be that I might not be, that I might not want to get so much invested in, but it's good that you try to keep up to date because the world changes so much. If we look at that specifically on a GCP perspective, so this is the developer cheat sheet for Google Cloud, and I will zoom in a little bit for you. This essentially is a cheat sheet to describe the majority of the Google Cloud Platform services in 4 words or less, right? So if we just look at some of the sample ones from here, for example, we've got compute, storage, database, data and analytics, networking, gaming, Internet of Things, identity, migration. The list is never ending, right? what we want to come out from today's session with is thinking that we understand that the platform is big. There's going to be areas that we might need to touch. There might be areas we might need to spend a lot more time in. But just to understand the scope of what we're working with, it kind of grounds the whole journey, and it allows you to kind of focus as well, in that you have to pick your battles, start small, focus on specific areas. And this we'll come back to this later when we're looking at when you're going to be looking through some of the documentation. Break it up into small chunks bits at a time, and then you'll get through it in no time. And again, just to show you, a lot of these technologies have only just been released this year or in the last couple of years. So, and again, this list will grow and grow and grow as cloud and cloud native evolves. So keeping up to date and keeping your skills relevant is really important. Validate existing knowledge. So there's many ways to work with hardware and software. Are you doing things the most effective? Are you doing ways that's the most efficient or the most effective? Having a look at like the Windows laptop, if you can press the start button to bring up the menu, but there's about 15 different ways, or probably a lot more different ways that you can do it. Are you using the technology that you use every day the most effective? And I think about shortcuts on my phone, shortcuts in Terraform. There's loads of ways that when you're using the technology every day, that if you don't look at the documentation, or if you aren't tested in it in a way that you don't generally use it, you never really know, number one, all about the technology, and number two, is there a bit of hidden nuances to things that you could be learning? And you'll get that by reading through the documentation, by practicing, and by working with the products. Number three, I like this one because it's pretty relevant. Again, as more companies are moving to cloud, more companies are moving to GCP. If you certify, it allows you to show your potential to and your peers, which is really cool. And I've quoted a quote from Google here, so that more than 1 in 4 of Google Cloud certified individuals took on more responsibility for leadership roles at work. I think that's pretty interesting. And I've got a link here to KubeCon. So this is an example, convince your boss letter. So why would you use this? Imagine you're part of a team. There's 20 engineers in your team, you've got a small budget, or you would just like to show your manager that you're interested in a new piece of technology. And this letter here, it could be used for Google, it could be used for cloud native, it could be used for anything else. But it gives you there's 2 points in this. Number one, it shows that there's resources for you to get your employer interested in your certification, interested in the fact that you want to skill up. And number two, it shows you that there's a place where companies appreciate and understand that for individuals to get training, it's not so easy. These kind of resources that you can use. And again, if you're thinking about taking a certification or are interested in the course, which you might not be able to pay for yourself, this is a really good sample letter that you can send out to HR or to your manager and say, hey, I'm really interested in this. Can you support me in my studies? Okay, so number 4, invest in your career. Speaks for itself. If you're working on computers, if you're spending 8 hours a day, effectively just working on the keyboard and mouse and the screen, you want to get the most out of your time. You want to show, you want to progress, you want to invest, you want to be doing something possibly in a few years' time that's a bit different than you're doing now. Or there might be an area of technology that you want to move into, and you might need to get the foundations first, or you might need to learn a whole new skill set or chain of technologies. So investing in your career is really important, and I think moving with Google Cloud, the platform allows you to do just that. Let's move along. So number 5, new opportunities. Earning a certification is an enabler, which undoubtedly will open up new opportunities and avenues in your career. If you have a certification, or even if you don't achieve the certification, but if you can show that you've been working towards something new, you've taken the time and the dedication, it's going to open new opportunities outside of technology, because you're going to learn new skills within yourself about giving up time to learn a new technology. Maybe you need to spend 3 or 4 hours a week, or even you commit more time to that. If you do, you're more than likely going to have to sacrifice time that you'll be doing something else. But again, it will open up new avenues for you in your life, because you'll have new skills and you'll have that sense of achievement from learning something new. So it's definitely time worth investing. And then lastly, the challenge. Having personal goals and setting the time aside to make them a reality is a worthwhile journey. I'm starting to learn machine learning, algorithms and mathematics. I enjoy them, although it's not my strongest skill. So I do spend a lot of time going back to white papers or going back to the actual algorithms themselves, understanding how they were written and why the developers made them in a certain way. So that's the challenge that I enjoy. Again, for yourselves, you're going to have a different challenge. But again, it's identifying that and being dedicated and working through the hard times. Okay, we're good for time. So this is the fun part of certification. I love the swag, and I actually have some swag on, and I have a swag here. If I bring this across, if you set the beta exams in GCP, which is really cool, is that Google offers, they give if you pass, you get some specific swag, some unique swag. And if you attempt the exam, you get like some really cool stuff. Not as good as the hats, but the hats are really cool. And I have some info here for you. So if you go to the web assessor, when you go to sit your exam, when you go to book the exam, once you log in, you'll be presented with a list. If you click on the beta exams, they're not that widely publicized, so there is an opportunity for you to miss them. So sometimes it's a good idea to log into the web assessor and have a look if there's new beta exams on offer. And then you can sign up. Exams are significantly harder than the main exams. So a traditional GCP exam is 2 hours. You have to answer 60 questions, and I think you have to get between 60 and 70% to get a pass. With the beta exams, you have to do 200 plus questions in 4 hours, and it's very broad, but they're very interesting. It's like a marathon, but I definitely recommend it just for the experience as well. It gives you a real sense of accomplishment of sitting through that and actually passing, or even just sitting the exam in general. And here's one of the hats that I can show you. I'm actually wearing one, but there you go. Beta. Did it say on the back? No. Okay, let's move across to the next slide. So walk your own path. We'll spend a bit of time here because everybody's an individual. There's not a blanket statement for saying, hey, this is the way to learn. Everybody's going to get to the same stage at the same time. When you're talking about learning something, you have to focus on what's good for you outside of the classroom, outside of the workshop, and really focus on the bits that you're struggling with, or focus on the bits that you find really interesting and hone your skills. But build a path. Don't do it blind. Spend some time before you study and say, today I would like to learn this. Tomorrow I would like to learn this. In 5 weeks, I would like to have accomplished this. Have a sense of direction, and the word I'm looking for is, don't be afraid to be dynamic and adapt. It could be that you spend 5 months learning Java, and then you start to come across the fact that, hey, I like Python. All this time that you spent in Java is going to help you with Python. And the same with GCP. If you spend a lot of time studying for the architect exam, that's going to help you with the other exams. But have a focus. And I have a quote here for you. A tourist is someone who travels across the ocean only to be photographed sitting next to their boat. I have no intention of being a tourist. So this is from Predestination, film 2014. It's about time loops. But I think in terms of studying, this really stands for what I think about studying and the certification as well. It's not just about getting the certification and say, hey, I've passed. It's about the journey. You want to soak up what you learn. You want to make the best of the time. It's not just about getting there. And I hope that gets through at the end of this session today. And again, the journey, the road to achievement takes time. When quite recently, I did a similar workshop, but spread over 3 to 6 months. And the average for somebody new to GCP, or even somebody that's actively working with GCP in a day-to-day job, it can take up to 3 months to be exam ready. So be patient, take your time. Again, you might be slightly different. but really enjoy the process and enjoy the products that you're working with. Okay, so the portfolio suggestion. If you're studying, and imagine from what I just said then, from day 0 to month 3, it's going to take you 3 months to be ready to sit the exam. Whilst you're studying, while you're coding, while you're working through the labs, while you're attending workshops, a good idea is to create a portfolio. And I'm going to kind of describe some of the steps and how this can kind of back onto the studying that you will do. So, for example, we have an idea. We'd like to build a website on GCP. So week 1, we create a simple website on GCP. It could be on App Engine. We could use a service like virtual machines, or we could use something like Kubernetes. Depending on your experience level, where you build the website is entirely up to you. But again, it's a start. The reason why we're going to build a portfolio is, number 1, the skills that you're learning while studying for the certification, you can put them into practice with a project of your own, or you can contribute to somebody else's. I would suggest to build your own project and start from scratch, and I'll tell you why in a second. So yeah, we build the project. The project is for ourselves to see that, hey, look, we will have a sense of progression. By the time it gets to week 3 or month 2, we can look back at the code and the stuff that we've been doing at the beginning of our journey, and we'll have something direct to compare, and we'll have something to show to our employer or to our peers to say, hey, this is the work that I've been doing in my spare time. I've been studying in GCP. I've been taking the skills that I learned, and this is what I've been applying them. It's quite common for engineers to be studying GCP. I don't want to say quite common, but it is known for engineers or people to be studying towards a GCP certification, but they don't use GCP products at the organization where they work for the majority of the time. So this is another good way to show potential employers or your employer that you could say, hey, Google Cloud is really cool. This is what I've been learning. This is what I've been building. This is what I've been doing for the last 3 months. Have a look. And also it gives you practice with DevOps. And we'll get to that shortly here. So week 2, we've got a bit more skills. We've learned a few more things in the platform. We're going to add a gallery. So we do that. We create the gallery, and then we commit the code to GSR. So when you're working with cloud technologies, whether you're building games, whether you're serving movies, or whether it's a website like YouTube or Twitter, the majority of the releases and the code that you're working with has come from a pipeline. And the engineers predominantly that would be working with that are DevOps engineers or SREs, and then the whole organization feed into the application code. But if you get practice in your own, just committing to code, getting used to either GitHub or Google Source Repository, getting used to GitHubs, working with the source editor, with the code editor, again, you'll be building up your proficiency. And the aim of getting certified is not just to understand the products, it's to actually work with them and have enjoyment using them and have that experience of having failed commits, having to repair your code again and again. It's that learning experience, that feedback loop. As we move through, we add more features, again, for the same purposes down here. Towards the end of our 3-month cycle, we could add advanced features. So we could say, for example, we could have the website serve external users. We could give the website a public IP, share it with a couple of our friends or colleagues at work. By doing that, we would implement additional security to the actual website itself with IAM roles and firewalls and so forth. And again, building on your skills and experience with the platform by adding additional features. By the end of month 3, when you're ready to sit your exam, or this could be month 2, month 1, month 6, wherever, again, remember, you're an individual. This is all dependent on yourself. You can share your project. You could even share your project at week 2 or week 3 to get advice from your colleagues or your friends or just members of the community to say, hey, this is what I'm working on. Do you like it? Have you got any feedback? Would you like to contribute? Would you like to start with me? And again, quickly jump here to the certifications. All about why getting certified. Whether it's the foundational, the associate, or the professional. By doing something like this, you'll be building a portfolio, and in a couple of years' time, you might have 3 or 4 projects or 100. At that time, you'll have something to share with the community, but you'll also feel confident enough then to start contributing to real projects that are out in the community and saying, hey, I can see some errors there, or I could make some improvements, or I've got a really good idea that you could add to this tool or application. You can go to GitHub or Google Source Repository and add the code. And then again, it's just another skill to add. Okay, let's move across. Nearly lost my train of thought then. Okay, so some Google resources. These are not specifically from Google, but they're GCP resources. And we'll have a quick look through some of these. And again, I'm going to share the slide deck for these because some of these you're going to have to look at in your own time. So Service VJ, he's done this really cool repo. And essentially, depending on what you're interested in, this repo has got guides. And let's have a look for the Cloud Digital Leader, since we were talking about that earlier. In this repo, it's got the majority of information for free resources in Google Cloud. It's got posts, so on blogs, white papers, practice exams from Udemy, which is really pretty cool. It's got video sessions, and then lots of other resources from, quite a few from Coursera, which is really nice. And then solutions, quick lab links, none for this one. Excuse me. Sorry. The reason why I've shared this in particular is that it's a curated list of some really good material. You can jump to this, find some quick lab courses or find some talks, and it covers the whole length and breadth of the GCP framework, which is really awesome. Another one is Amit Williams. He's a cloud engineer / developer. He develops really cool exam resources. His links will be in here. He's got prep sheets. Actually, let's have a look. We can open this one. So the resources that he produces, he actually sits the exams himself. And then again, he lists all the different parts for an exam. So for the cloud architect, Amit's produced an awesome prep sheet that goes through the key points of the exams that you need to work with, his experience of what the exam will like. So it's a good, for somebody that's new to sitting GCP exams, it's good to walk through this to have a view of the kind of issues that someone like you would have encountered, where they went to grab resources, what things helped, what type of things you should know about. And again, Amit is really cool. He engages with the community as well. So definitely check this one out. Yeah. Another key point I would say is the GCP Slack channel. Google Cloud has a Slack channel itself. Really work with your peers and find out if there's any cool stuff out there. And also Google Cloud has their own GitHub source repository, where I was discussing earlier about you can commit, you can contribute to the community. When you're quite confident, you can actually jump into and have a look at some of the actual code that's for the Google Cloud platform. See if there's anything that you would like to reuse, or indeed see if there's anything that you could contribute to as well. Okay, so cautious of time. Quick shout out to the cloud native ecosystem. When you're working with Google Cloud, or again, with any of the providers, cloud providers such as AWS, you're going to find that you're going to encounter lots of other tools. Cloud providers generally would like you to use the native solution. So for example, with Google Cloud, you have this GCR, which is Google Source Repositories. The largest one on the planet, I think, that is public is GitHub. But every service, you're going to have to understand that even though you're studying for GCP, the platform itself is highly engaged with the cloud native community and the open source community as a whole. And there will be questions on the exam that ask you about specific tools within the ecosystem. Some of them will be Kubernetes, which you see here. Can I zoom in? So you've got Kubernetes, you'll have questions on Jenkins. These are part of the GCP ecosystem, but they're part of a larger ecosystem, which is an open source ecosystem. So again, once you're working within GCP, you're going to get exposed to lots of other different tools as well. So it's good to keep an eye on what's happening in CNCF, because some of these tools, they were going to filter in. And you could even, you could even create a tool and have that go into the CNCF landscape. The possibilities are truly endless. Okay, so I think we're almost about to get to Quick Labs. Awesome. So for the Quick Labs overview, I'm cautious of time, but I'm also cautious that I'm not there physically with you, and there can be some issues initially getting logged into Quick Labs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to log in. We're going to run through one of the quests, and as we're doing that, I'm going to show you and discuss some of the tips and tricks about using Quick Labs and how to most effectively get out of the time that you're using the Quick Labs platform. And again, the reason why I'm using Quick Labs is that it's a remarkable aid for learning the Google Cloud Platform. I think it's one of the best, really. And when I started to learn GCP in depth, Coursera and Quick Labs were the only platforms which really offered, well, I think they was the only ones that really offered this training at the time. So really good platform to use. I can definitely recommend this from personal experience. Okay, so for anybody here that is new to Quick Labs, I'll give you a quick rundown. Quick Labs give you temporary credentials to Google Cloud Platform and Amazon Web Services. The good thing about this is it's so that you're using these cloud platforms risk-free. So for example, if you're using Kubernetes or if you build a virtual machine, you don't create a machine that costs £500 an hour to run, for example, and you leave it switched on, or you build some kind of service that's the cost that you didn't understand or you wasn't sure you would incur. So this protects you from that, and it gives you the same accessibility as an admin, developer, engineer, but again with that safety in that. And again, it's guided, instructor led, and it's really awesome just to spend your free time. You don't even need to do some of the courses to get some of the knowledge from this. So let's move across. The Quick Labs quest that I've chosen is going to be create and manage cloud resources. This is an introductory. It's good for anybody that's new or anybody that's existing. If you're new to GCP, this gives you a really good overview and introduction to the foundational steps that on the Google Cloud Platform, such as Compute Engine, databases, IAM, the kind of key services that whatever you build on the platform, you're generally going to use. And it also gives you a skill badge. So previously when we was discussing how you can share your accomplishments and have a sense of accomplishment. By doing these, you get a nice digital badge that you can share on social media or just to have for yourself. It's a pretty nice thing to have. And if we jump across here, this is an overview of the different badges that you can have. There's different challenges. And if we come down here, we'll have a look at all the badges that are on offer. Oh, it's taking me to my account. Oh, that's pretty cool. So as you can see, and we're going to spend a bit of time in here. So let's get to the chat part. Oh, so the quest that you're going to be given, as you can see, they say it will take on average 5 hours to complete. I've done this quest myself, even without the experience on the platform. It shouldn't take you 5 hours. It's still fine. You've been learning a lot. Once you have completed this quest, you get 2 months free. So effectively, you get almost 60 days free on the platform, and that gives you can restart labs if you have any difficulties on one particular lab. You could do the same lab 10 times over if you like. You could do the same lab for the whole 2 months if you like. The choice is entirely yours. So make the most out of this time. Excuse me. Okay. All right, so these are the instructions. I'm not sure if I can post these into the chat, because for those of you that want to get logged in now, there might be some difficulties. What I think we will do then, I'm unsure if, I will leave this on the screen for a minute. Effectively, I will walk through the instructions that are here. And the slide deck will be shared after the event. What this will do, will get you logged in. It will give you a free account into Quick Labs. And once you've done that, you have to complete the quest, which I'm about to show you. Once you've done that, you receive a 3 months. You will be granted 1 month's free access through credits to your account. After that, you'll be given the second month. I'm a bit stuck here. I'm just trying to think on my feet and what we can do for this part. I will log in. I will show you what it's like. And again, I will carry on with some of the stuff that I was planning to do. Okay, so the Quick Labs, the learning forums, once you've got your account, and we can jump back into that the previous slide. Once you've got your account, there's learning forums. So the good thing about community, it's a massive global active community where you've got lots of engineers and developers all participating. There's lots of different hacks and events that you can join in. There's workshops and there's lots of virtual events. Lots of opportunities to get swag. And again, the most important thing, lots of opportunities for you to upgrade your skills. And if we just have a quick look through here, we had Diwali Celebrations, which is pretty cool. Quick Labs 21. There's 30 days of cloud. Again, in your own time, I would advise you to have a look here. But you can look at some of the, you've got like Study Jam, Career Development, Associate. You just jump into one of the associates. You see, we've got active posts. So it's a very active community, which is really cool. Okay. Good luck is another thing. Good luck on your exams and good luck on your certification journeys, because it's really important to go through that. So we're going to come back here and I'm going to jump in. Hopefully this loads up. Okay, cool. This is the, what I might try and do. Okay. Sorry, my machine is just loading up. Just all my slides, all my tabs. We're having a bit of a technical issue on this site. Sorry, everybody. Okay, great. So we jump back here. What you want to do is go to, sorry. The demo goods, it was bound to happen. Okay, we're back. We need to go to quicklabs.com and enroll. The link you will have in the slide deck, which you will receive. But if you're able to do this now, we need to go to the link here, Cloud Study Jams 2021. If I do that. Once you're on this page, we need to locate, and the URL is here as well, if you can see. Please bear with me as it loads up. While that's loading, I'll quickly run you through the instructions. So again, we go to quicklabs.com, study jams. We click on enroll. Why is it doing that? Sorry, everybody. We will click on enroll and we'll sign in with your Quicklabs credentials. I'm getting the ordering a bit wrong here. You sign in with your Quicklab credentials, then you click on enroll and you'll receive the credits, which I am attempting to do here. So create and manage cloud resources. This is the section which I was just referring to here. So this is the code that we need to input. So I'm just going to copy from this slide deck. Here we go. Mountains or hills. Oh. Ta-da. Are we in? Fantastic. We're in. So, as we were discussing earlier, creating a virtual machine. The reason why these quick labs are good for your certification, aside from going through just reading the documentation and looking on the platform is that imagine you're trying to ride a bike. You could watch 1,000 hours of somebody riding a bike, or 1,000 hours of 10 different people riding a bike, and watch 1,000 hours of somebody repairing the brakes. And you could understand all the physics and everything about riding a bike. But the real test is where you get on the bike yourself and attempt to pedal and keep balance and adjust your weight while you're going around corners. There's a lot of nuances that you can't see from just actually watching videos. You have to actually do the manual work yourself. And that's why Quick Labs is the perfect platform for you to do that, because it gives you the hands-on experience. A compute engine, a virtual machine is the core to any platform, is the core to any digital service, whether it's Kubernetes, a website, your phone application. You need compute. You need the CPU to be generating the cycles to make the actual processes work. So that's why you need the machines. So this is why this is excuse me, this is why virtual machines are key. It's key because you get that raw processing power that you can build any application on top. With this one, it ties back into what we was discussing earlier about a project, because for this one, it wants you to learn how to connect an engineered web server to your virtual machine. So essentially, that's building a web server on a virtual machine, which you could configure or repurpose and just allow it to show the website that we was discussing earlier. And that website could be about anything. It could be about Google Cloud. It could be about your favorite music band, or it could be about your favorite clothing brand. Whatever takes your fancy, this is a great start for you. This is a great opportunity to use that, put your enjoyment into something that you enjoy. Okay, so we're going to have a look through here. If we quickly look to the right of the screen, this is essentially telling us the instructions for what we're going to be doing in this lab. We have a general overview, we have the setup, and then we have the tasks. And then at the end, we have test your knowledge to ensure that what you've actually been doing through the labs that you understand. And then obviously, congratulations for passing or for finishing the lab in this instance. So for this one, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to create a new instance from the Google Cloud Console. We're going to install an Nginx web server onto that said virtual machine, create a new instance with Gcloud, and then we're going to test our knowledge. For the tips and tricks that I wanted to discuss about the virtual machine, and the reason why we've chosen quite a straightforward lab, is that with such a large platform and such a large catalog, it's easy to get lost. So one of the cool things that you can do before you even start any of the labs, so once you finish this skill badge, you can have a quick review of what they're offering. But what you can also do, say, for example, Kubernetes engine, through the overview before you actually even log into the lab. If we keep scrolling down, we can see what the actual lab is expecting us to do, what services it wants us to work with, which parts of the GCP console it wants us to reference. So again, if we look back here, and I want to go to landscape. Okay. Where is discussing about Kubernetes and deployment. Generally, when you have a Kubernetes server, a Kubernetes cluster, you generally want to deploy applications onto that. So again, we're thinking about DevOps and SRE, but again, we're going back into the CNCF landscape where we're talking about container runtimes, or we're thinking about securing the actual applications that are running on the cluster. You will come into contact with these in Quick Labs. And again, it's good to know that a lot of the tools that you'll be referencing in Quick Labs are coming from the CNCF ecosystem. So again, it's about tying them together and being able to see the larger picture in terms of the ecosystem, again, that you're working in. Again, another key point why I've actually looked on this one is that the cool thing with some of the labs, which is a cool point, is that there are slight nuances between what you can do in the CLI so within the Google Cloud Console, which we'll jump to in a minute, and things that you can do on your desktop, which you can't do. And there's different scripts that you can run from within the console that are shared within Quick Labs that you can get access to. You can copy them to your repo and then tailor them to fit your needs. And some of them, for example, there's some Terraform scripts that you get to use, and it will allow you to repurpose them and build your own environments. So for example, for our virtual machine or for our website, if we're new to Terraform, and Terraform is in some of the exam questions, we can pull that information from Quick Labs, and it allows us to learn from some pre-existing code and make adjustments where we see necessary. Again, coming through here, this is the website that it's produced. More instructions about what we want to do. So let's go back to the original lab and that I wanted to show you. So create a virtual machine. So this is your first time to Quick Labs. Pretty self-evident. On the left-hand side here, you have to click Start the Lab, and you'll be given a clock. I'm going to open console. So these are the credentials that you'll be given. You need to copy them from the left-hand side, and these are what you're going to log into Google Cloud with, which is where are we? Oh, jeez. There we go. Did I copy the wrong thing? Password. Here we go. Okay, so you'll be given legal notice that you need to accept terms of service. No, thanks. One of these websites is making my machine sound like it's about to take off. I'm not too sure if you can hear that. It's rather worrying. How long have we got? Okay, so we've got 15 minutes left. So what I will do, I'll quickly run through this. The last 5 minutes on Quick Labs. I'll share the slide deck that has info for those of you that would like to create a sign up. Again, so you get free access. And if I just bring this here. So looking through the instructions to build a virtual machine, it's giving us all the examples here. I'm going to quickly jump to my percent. Here we go. This one here. So again, Coursera. Preparing for the Google Cloud Professional Cloud Architect exam. I wanted to quickly mention this before I forget. This ties into Quick Labs in that when you're ready, or when you're at the point in time when you feel that you're ready to have a go and sit one of the exams, Coursera offers these preparing for Google Cloud exams across a range of their exams. I know they do it for the data architect, the cloud architect, the engineer, and there's a few others. And basically about this course tells you exactly what it does. It's to help those develop confidence to attempt the exam and help those not yet qualified to develop their own plan for preparation. This kind of backs onto some of the stuff we've been discussing today, but a bit more in depth in terms of some of the question types that you're going to be encountering and how to best prepare for the specific exam, where this discussion here is a bit more general and a bit more focused against the breadth of all the products that Google Cloud offer. The focus of these is more specific to the particular exams. So for who's going to sit the cloud architect exam, this is great to sit a couple of days, or I would say like a week or maybe 2 weeks before you're about to sit, and ensure if there's any areas that you need to focus on or potential areas you might have missed. This will help bring you up to speed and get you really exam ready. And again, the Coursera the Coursera learning materials are provided by Quick Labs. So a lot of the skills that you'll be learning in Quick Labs and on GCP in general, they will feed directly into here as well. And again, you can enroll for free. So this is really cool if you would like to save money. Again, if you're on a type of student budget or for whatever reason, you could enroll for free before your exam and then unsubscribe. So you get the best of both worlds for that. Okay, and then back to our quick lab session. Another cool tool, a quick thing that I wanted to show you is if we open up the Cloud Console down here. So this is a bit less on the certification side, but it's less on the certification side, but it's more once you start getting to use the actual platform. This Cloud Shell here, because you're going to be using the platform, what I could imagine quite intensively, there's a few things that you're probably going to be doing quite frequently, such as the instructions are going to ask you to list the account names, excuse me, list the active account names, list the active projects, and so forth. What you can do is build a simple bash script which does all these commands ahead of time. You can jump into your terminal here on every time you start a new lab, upload your script, which you can do here, upload your script into the terminal. Let's move this. Upload your script into the terminal and save yourself some time. And again, when you have that script, you can commit that to your repository where you're holding your project. And again, you're working in your scripting as well as your certification. So you're building a full set of skills. Another thing that before we move forward with this, which is really important, our end lab. I want to search catalog. Okay. Great. So we'll use the Professional Cloud Architect exam. And again, for those of you, whether you're a novice or an expert in GCP, the fact that we're doing the course is more so to give you a refresher or an introduction, but it gives you access for the month or 2 months across the whole suite of these skills within Quick Labs. So if you do plan to take the Professional Cloud Architect in Quick Labs itself, how come we don't have it here? Sorry, I lost that. Where's the quiz? Or was it at the end? It might be at the end of this one. Excuse me. Challenge lab. Great. This is the bit that I wanted to show. So across all the labs, across all the quests, once you've been working through the labs, at the end, you'll get to a challenge section. And this is really good for preparing you for working on the platform without a guide, and again, testing your knowledge ahead of your exam. Similar to the previous lab, it gives you an overview, but this time we have a challenge. Rather than a set of tasks where we're given step-by-step instructions, we're given a task with a requirement, and then it's up to us as the engineer to build these resources in GCP. So it's taking all the knowledge that we learned from the previous steps and applying that in our own time without any guidance, aside from knowledge, potentially looking at the documentation and reviewing past things that we've done before. And just to give you an overview of what this looks like, if I can bring this down. So that, for example, this challenge lab would like you to create an instance. It wants it to have a 3-node Kubernetes cluster with a simple service on, and then they also want you to create a HTTP load balancer in front of 2 web servers, potentially to expose the application, or expose the website from the load balancer. And then for this one, if we come right to the end, it wants to check your progress, and you can read through all of this before you start, so you know exactly what it wants. You have the requirements. Similar to a spec, if you was working in a DevOps team, you'd get a requirements for your team to build or maintain something. And this is quite similar to what you see in a professional environment as well. So this is really good. You need to name the instance. So it wants the name, instance name, the type of machine that you're going to have to use, the type of operating system, so the image that you're going to be using, and then it's going to test if you created that successfully. I'm not sure if it tells you which of these you don't do right, so I'm guessing it wants you to get them all spot on. And then again, for the Kubernetes service cluster. Again, to remind you, for some of the more advanced labs within Quick Labs, you are directed to go to GitHub and pull resources such as scripts, Terraform code, and so forth. This is all open source, and again, I do really encourage you to make copies of this, or at least really walk through and understand what you're doing, especially if it's with an application or with a programming language that you don't just generally use. Let's have a look at time. Okay, I've kind of overrun. I do apologize. I got a bit, I wasn't too sure what was happening with Quick Labs at that point. Sofia, I am ready to wrap up quite shortly, but I'd like to open the floor to questions and answers to questions if we have any. Is that something that we can do? Okay. I will have to bring it back to here. I'm not sure how the question and answers is going to work at the end, but I do have time to take questions if any of the hosts jump back on. For now, one other thing that I would like to show you, skip back, is the SRE books. So I love SRE, but when you work with the Google Cloud Platform in general, you understand that a lot of the principles that come from the SRE benefit a lot of the products and services that you will see being built on the Google Cloud Platform. All these books are free. I would recommend just having a browse through some of the chapters or having a look through some of the books. You can read them on your iPads or whatever, and it gives you a really good oversight. And these definitely do help in the exams because it talks about different areas of the platform in different ways, in different personas, and gives you real feedback from Googlers or from engineers that have worked with cloud-based systems themselves. There's classrooms in here. One of the cool things that you can have access to is there's a sandbox for developers. Again, with this one, it allows you to deploy applications into GCP in a generally safe environment. It's not as safe as the Quick Labs environment, and safe as in that you'd have to use your own account. So there's possibilities that you could be charged. But again, it gives you more advanced, it shows you some of the more advanced features. And again, once you've got your certification, you're going to be wanting to put some of this into practice. So monitoring the applications or tools or games or whatever you build in the cloud is going to be really important for you to do. And this will introduce you to a lot of best practice when building cloud native applications or services. Let's see what else we have here for the last one. We've gone through the developer. And then this is a good one for me and hopefully for some of you out there. I've just started machine learning. I find it really interesting. It ties into a lot of the other GCP stuff that I've been doing before. This is a free course. It's quite intense, but again, it's available. The links will be in the slides for you to have a look at. And if you're interested in anything to do with data engineering, GCP is one of the best platforms, if not the best platform in the world, to be a machine learning engineer. There's lots of opportunities, lots of services, and I'd highly recommend for anybody that has the time or is interested in machine learning, AI, ML, to have a look at this. I think we are almost at a wrap. Do we have any hosts?
Hi.
Awesome. Hello there.
How are you feeling, guys? So Jai, we will need those useful links. Can you share, please, a link to your presentation, either here in the chat or maybe with me, so we can share it with the attendees after the conference?
I will do. I will share it with you as soon as we close this call. I'll send you a copy and you can send it out.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any questions for Jai? Anybody? You can ask them in the Q&A or in the stage, wherever you feel comfortable. Okay, maybe I can ask a question. So, what language would you recommend that I focus on if, for example, like Java or Python?
I would say it depends on what you want to build. I'd say I'd say it depends on the individual. Firstly, I would say have a look at both languages. Have a look at the repos for both and see why they were created. Have a look at what developers and engineers are building with the different programming languages, and start with one. I wouldn't recommend one in particular, although through working with GCP more on the infrastructure side that I do, it pulled me more in towards Python. But again, computer languages is like spoken languages, right? Languages always change, new languages are always being created. So it's best just to start with one and then be proficient, I would say, and then start to learn a new one. But again, yeah, choose whichever's right for you. Languages are quite different. Find the one that you find enjoyable or the one that works more with the way that you think as well.
Okay, we have one more question. Nina is asking, my question is, how does the system help the certification progress, meaning the system that's in Quick Labs?
Oh, how does it help with the certification? And that, so quite a few of the quests have been designed by Quick Labs and engineers at Google specifically to focus on getting your exam ready. So the topics that are covered in the Quick Lab quests, the tasks that you're asked to perform, a lot of the things that you're going to be doing within Quick Labs is going to be directly asked about you in the exam. So for example, with the virtual machine example that we just looked at, it asked us to build a virtual machine with a particular machine type in a particular region. An example question in GCP, for example, would be a virtual machine in a particular region, but it needs to be, it has to be redundant. So it has to be in 2 regions per se. Which regions would you need to know? So by working through some of the labs, you'd know that there's GCP regions, for example, in London or in the USA, or the different region types. And again, from that sample question, the sample task we just looked at, it asked us to build a machine type with a Debian image. There'll be questions within the exams about different machine types and operating systems. And by working through the labs, you'll be building machines constantly and having a look at the different types that are on offer. And again, if that question comes up, you'll just know it, again, just because of your experience on working through the platform. It's that hands-on knowledge. Again, Quick Labs is going to expose you to different parts of the platform. Task where you might have to pull down a drop-down menu or create a new service that you might not have seen before, and that could come up on the exam. So yeah, there's a lot of the work that you will be doing in Quick Labs is directly tied to the exam in some way, because it's going to be introducing to the services and the types of activities you'll be doing in the platform that you're going to be asked about on the exam.
Okay, thank you, Jai. Maybe just one last question. How do you split your time between reading through the different resources and then coding? Like, how can we optimize this part if we're stuck?
Excuse me. Optimizing your time is really hard because, again, we all have our own personal commitments in life, as well as work and everything else with study, if we're in education. So it's very individual. I guess for me, I would say, you really need to look deep inside yourself. And I'll give myself as an example. I'm very much a morning person. I wake up very early. So I do a lot of my intent studies before I even start work. I do a lot of my main coding then. And when I'm sitting my exams, I generally try to book before 1 p.m. because for me, that's when I feel that I'm more energetic, my mind's more fresh, and I've got a lot more get up and go. So yeah, it's really about the individual. In terms of splitting the time between directly reading and coding, I would say, is that you want to be trying to do 50-50. Going back to the learning how to ride a bike analogy, you don't want to be spending too much time in the theoretical side where you're just reading about services or reading about the code. You have to actually be very practical. You have to do it. There's a different side between having the certification and saying, hey, I know what these tools do, and having the certification and saying, hey, I know how to use these tools. I know how to help you use these tools. So again, understanding what you want to get out of the certification journey is important as well, because different people want to have different things from going through this whole process. So, yeah, the time one is a real hard one. Again, what you could also do is have like a diary. Again, you could add this to your project and say, hey, I intend to spend 5 hours or X amount of hours this week studying and reading. Have a look at what you achieved. Think about how you felt at the end of the week, and then review. You might need to change, you might need to lower some or raise some. You might find that you've got more time, but don't burn yourself out. Enjoy the studying. Put in as much time as you can, but take breaks. And again, it's an individual journey, right? You know, do what's right for you.
Thank you, Jai. Thank you so much, and thank you for tuning in for our event. And it was really lovely to have you.
Thank you for the invite. I'm going to stick around as well, catch up some of the.
Yeah, of course. Go in. Everybody else that's here, you can join on the main stage. Tushka just began her presentation, and feel free to tune in as well and see some challenges and hear about some challenges of a new engineering manager. And
awesome.
See you later.
Thank you. Thanks again, and thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Okay. Are we good?
Thank you, Jai.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry about the demo gods wasn't with me.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Do you know what's funny actually? Sorry, I don't want to keep you. But I was thinking just before this morning as well, I was thinking there's a lot to cover. And with Quick Labs, even when you get the access, sometimes it can be quite difficult for people to log in. So I didn't want to spend too much time helping people to get logged in, because you can spend 2 or 3 hours getting everyone on the session. But I will send all the info. I've checked all the stuff. As long as they reach out to Quick Labs if they have any issues, Quick Labs will help them get through, but they have to use the codes today.
Perfect.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, share the presentation. Lovely having you.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.